Hey everybody, my name's Hannah Benedict.
And I am Jessi Sikander.
Yeah,
And this week, it's been a while since we've done this.
yeah, we've been on break and now we don't know what we're supposed to do or what we're supposed to say or who's talking.
This week, we are talking about resiliency. In fact, this month, we're talking about resiliency, which is, I think, such an appropriate topic to kick off the new year, especially in light of the year behind us and what we're walking into next. Yeah, this month, we're going to be talking about what is resiliency, what does it look like, and why is it important? How do you build it? What are some of those things that we're automatically more resilient to in life? Um, all of those type of interesting topics.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like, I think recognizing that resiliency isn't something that either you have or you don't have. It's something that we foster and that we develop not only in our, in our kids, but we can do things that help build it in ourselves. And the great thing is that we're already doing a lot of those things. Um, and just, I think, recognizing that those simple things that we're doing are actually like really really important things. So, we'll talk about stuff. You're like, well, I'm already doing that. Great. Keep doing it and maybe doing it more because you now know why it is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I love the definition of resiliency as the ability to bounce back from something. So, do you consider yourself a resilient person? Do you easily bounce back, Anna?
Um, I would say I am a resilient person. I would say that in the like there, I want to say like when we say resiliency, it's not that we don't one have hard things that happen to us.
Right.
Like I've had some really hard things in my life, some really hard things. And it doesn't mean that I've experienced those really hard things and been like, yeah, life's so great. I'm good. So like when, it's that, think about when a ball bounces, it has to go down in order for it to come back up.
Yeah.
When it goes down, what it means by that bounce back is it doesn't stay stuck on the ground. Um, so in that, I would say yes, I've had those, but times where I have fallen and been on that spiral down, but I haven't stayed down there and haven't stuck down there. And so yeah, what about yourself?
I think so too. I definitely go down, but I feel like bounce back pretty quickly. I think one of the things that has surprised me about living through COVID is that, like all people, you kind of have a tipping point. Like I think I reached a point where I was like, I can only bounce back so many times, and then I don't have any bounce left inside of me,
Yeah.
which I think is a really valid thing. I think you kind of equate it to like a cup of water, right? And if like, if there's a lot of chaos and hardship and trauma going on, that cup's going to fill up. And eventually it's going to have to flow over. That just is the way that life is. Um, and so I think I probably reached maybe in the late fall, a point where I was like, I'm not bouncing back. This is not good. My bounce is gone. And I think um, it's not a bad thing. It just is life. And then you got to figure out how to refill your cup, refill yourself, and so that you can keep moving forward and bounce back.
Yeah. Yeah. And like maybe you just hung out down at the bottom longer than you're used to,
Exactly.
but you still
Exactly.
bounce back.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like I bounce back pretty quickly, and I hung out at the bottom there for a little bit, which
Which
probably needed to
felt
happen.
different than what you were used to and what you experienced in the past.
Yeah.
So maybe a
Exactly.
little confusing then.
Yeah.
Like why, like I should be
Why are we
bouncing.
not bouncing back? Because we're
Yeah.
living in a worldwide pandemic.
Well, and I think too, there's this, we need to be careful that resiliency isn't like stuffing it and saying, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Um, and it's not that Pollyanna like everything's good and really the world's like crashing around you.
Mm-hmm.
Resiliency is a really honest assessment of what's going on in your life at that moment in that time, and saying like this is really really hard. And I think that word and is a key word in when we're talking about resiliency. It's not but,
Yeah.
it's and.
Yeah.
I think resiliency is that ability to hold good and bad or good and hard in at the same time. And to be able to hold both those things well, and not saying like, oh, it has to be either all good or it has to be all bad.
Yeah. 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 I would agree with that. It's the, getting to the bottom and going, this is really hard, recognizing that it's hard, and then asking the question, well, what do I need to bounce back?
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to put into my life to be able to get back up and keep moving?
So what would you say are the things that you have done in your life? Like what, well, I'm going to back up. What is, why is resiliency important for you? Like, what is that? What have you noticed in your life that being a resilient person, being able to bounce, like, what has that done for you? Why is it important for you? And maybe even for your family?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think I don't ever want to get fully stuck.
Mm.
I think I have seen a lot of people that I love get really stuck and not be able to bounce back and have really hard and traumatic things happen, and then for them to get stuck there. Um, and I don't want to be stuck ever. I want to be able to feel the pain and the hardship and then be able to move forward and learn from it and go, yeah, that was really hard, and keep moving. So
Yeah, which reminds me, there's a lot of research out right now about something called post-traumatic growth. That a lot of times we can come through traumatic experiences. And if when we have some of these tools that we're going to be talking about this month for resiliency in our toolbox and we can use them, we can actually come out on this other side of a really, really hard, challenging experience, being stronger, more full of life and vitality. Not saying that we would have wanted that thing, but that thing has been a catalyst for growth in our lives.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's important. And I think also just in looking at my kiddos this last year, wanting to teach them that life is going to be hard sometimes and it's going to not always go their way. And how do we allow the space for that? And just like you said, and how do we process through that and bounce back? And that's like realizing like that's a really important life skill that they need for the rest of their life. This is only just the beginning of hard things for them. And so wanting to prepare them in a way that gets them ready for the rest of their life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What about you? Why is resiliency important to you?
Resiliency is important to me because I know that we're not like going to always have it easy. Like life is not going to be this like smooth sailing, like where we just fly along. For myself, and for my kids, doesn't mean that everything's going to be hard. It's not that I'm like out in doomsday, like, oh my gosh, I'm just waiting for the next shoe to drop. I think it's this healthy respect of life is messy. And I want to show up well in the mess and in the good. And I want my kids to be able to do that too. And for them to not just be physically strong, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, there's a strength to our lives that come when we put these things into practice to build that. And I really value that. I don't want us to fear the storm because we're afraid it will topple us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we talk about a lot in our course, Big Emotions, is how do you build resiliency? So if you'd like more information about how to actually, really practical steps for building resiliency in yourself and in your kiddos, head over to our website, actionparenting.org, and learn more about our course, Big Emotions. And of course, this month we will be talking about resiliency. So if you have questions about resiliency, or comments or ideas of how you grow resiliency in yourself or your kiddos, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.